In 2001, following the global release and mixed to negative reception of Thomas and the Magic Railroad the previous year, there were apparently talks about creating a Thomas the Tank Engine spin-off show about either Bertie the Bus or Harold the Helicopter in order to expand the franchise. In the end, the producers decided to create something from the ground up rather than spin off any of the show's existing characters, resulting in the creation of the Jack and the Pack spin-off show about construction vehicles who work on the island of Sodor. I think it's an interesting thought experiment to imagine what a Bertie the Bus centered spin-off would look like. There's many different routes a spin-off about Bertie could take, no pun intended. As far as setting goes, it's pretty clear the show would take place on the island of Sodor, as removing Bertie from the main series would not be logical, seeing as the whole reason Bertie was even considered for a spin-off was because he is the Sodor bus. Looking at the locations from Jack and the Pack, most of the settings in that show are either ambiguous locations, places on Thomas's branch line seen through the perspective of the road, or Kronk, interestingly enough, an obscure railway series location which despite its branch line appearance in the show is canonically a mainline station, like in the railway series. Let's use a similar line of thought for the Bertie spin-off show. In the railway series, Bertie is a bus on Thomas's branch line. In the TV series, while Bertie is introduced as a bus on Thomas's branch line, he is later seen working all over the island, so the writers could have more creative freedom with the character. Admittedly though, unlike the engines, road vehicles do have a bit more flexibility. While Gordon the Big Blue Engine can't work on Thomas's branch line, Bertie in all reality could work anywhere on Sodor. As far as the spin-off goes, this will allow Bertie to exist as a character in a capacity outside of Thomas's branch line. I think a Bertie-centric spin-off should take place in Vickers-Town. Vickers-Town, the CGI series, is depicted as a big, bustling city with its own electric tramway and culture. I like that idea, so let's usurp it. Seeing a new side of Vickers-Town and other familiar Sodor regions from the road would give us an opportunity to introduce other bus-centric infrastructure and road-related concepts. Bertie, of course, needs other bus characters to talk to, so I could spitball a few ideas here. Algie, Bertie's best friend from official Thomas annuals, could be introduced in this blue Albion Victor FT design. Bulgy, an existing bus character, could be a part of the show as well. Now in the series, Bulgy's reformed and is turned into a vegetable stand. I like this idea, as vehicles in real life are recycled all the time. So in this AU, Bulgy remains a veggie stand, assuming Season 7 still happens as written. Plus, this leaves room for us to come up with more original sources of conflict. I like to imagine Bertie's principal team of friends would be other buses of different designs. Bertie, Algie as we just mentioned, an articulated bus, a battery-powered bus, a trolley bus, a new double-decker bus character, a tour bus, Bulgy, a school bus, the list can go on. Different buses of different purposes from different areas with different levels and kinds of knowledge and accessibility would lead to all sorts of fun and original stories. In Thomas, the principal team of engines all work for Sir Topham Hatt. So in my proposed series, Bertie and his friends answer to the Sodor roadways, who control the bus and road freight on Sodor, managed by some person. I like to imagine a woman, as to differentiate this character from Sir Topham Hatt. We could also use this series as an opportunity to introduce road/rail adjacent machines not yet seen in Thomas and Friends, like light rails, rail buses, steam buses, coach buses, trackless trains, trailer buses, the list goes on. There's infinite possibilities to draw from. No series is complete without conflict, and in this series, I like to think the conflict will come from different buses serving different purposes clashing with one another, rather than a steamies versus diesels conflict like in the main Thomas show. When I was in high school, me and my homies would often take the much more convenient metro bus to school instead of waiting for the school bus, since there seemed to always be a school bus driver shortage, the school buses were usually packed, especially during the middle school era. Plus, the Metro bus came at a better frequency and was less crowded, allowing us to make it to school on time for breakfast. However, in the afternoons, the bus would often be packed. Maybe we could have a story where Bertie and Algie get cocky after the school kids say they prefer riding on them. But when Bertie and Algie start getting too full from taking the kids alongside their regular passengers, Bulgy, the now retired bus living out his days as a veggie stand, could be the voice of reason character and tell off Algie and Bertie for stealing passengers and being boastful, something Bulgy once did when he was younger. Then maybe Bertie could rebuttal that by saying the kids didn't have a choice, since the school buses didn't run frequently enough and were often too crowded, causing the kids to be late and miss school breakfast. This would leave all three of the buses to come up with a plan to help the kids. Bertie and Algie could speak to the Sodor Motorways director and have her step in to find more bus drivers for the school bus lines, and have Bulgy, the other food stand vehicles, and some volunteers offer their services to feed the kids who couldn't afford to bring their own lunches or have breakfast. And that's just one of many ideas. Another source of conflict could be the relationship between streetcars and buses. Buses like Bertie and Algie, for example, are feeders. They bring in passengers from the outskirts of Vickers-Town, Ballyhoo, or Normanby, while the electric trams are the ones who act as the high-capacity backbone, transporting people around the downtown areas. The model series crew and the CGI crew had no issues with retconning and reinventing Sodor, whether it be about its aesthetics or its geography or its history. So I see no reason to be Eurocentric or stick to rigid purism here. Maybe we could have a classic episode of Who's the Most Important, ending in the ever-classic moral of nobody, because a true transit utopia has multiple systems working in unison to fulfill different tasks. Thomas was originally going to have 3 tram characters in the animated series, these urban and jokey characters who love to gossip and quip. I'd use that concept here and have the trams be not necessarily antagonists, but a source of conflict in some of the stories. I'd make a conscious choice to exclude the railway from most stories. It'd still be visible and present, of course, as again, true transit harmony means multiple modes intersecting, but we wouldn't have Thomas, Gordon, etc. popping up all the time. In a 26-episode season, I'd greatly limit the engine characters to 4 speaking roles per season, if any at all. After all, Bertie, despite his popularity, barely appeared in the show in the books, so it's only fair to Roadshow be as focused on road vehicles as much as the engine series is focused on engines. Though naturally, I can imagine a big TV event where worlds collide and Thomas makes a big appearance traveling by road after an accident or something, allowing Bertie to show him the sights and sounds of Sodor in a way that even Thomas has never seen before. However, an alternate approach that some of you may like is introducing new engine characters to interact with Bertie. In the Railway series, the Normanby branch line for a time, and presumably still now, was jointly operated by the other railway and Sodor. Maybe this will be a prime time to introduce some modernish mainland diesels who bring in passengers from mainland England onto Sodor for the buses. Would be a good way to deep dive into the ways that trains and buses work off each other. Or, if you want to go real radical with it, we could have the line run by motor cars or rail buses. Why even create a spin-off show if you're not willing to take a chance, or do something new and innovative that you haven't done in the main show already? There's infinite possibilities in a bus network-oriented show about Bertie, and would give us a chance to flesh him out as a character. Perhaps Bertie can be the troublemaking, street-smart, metaphorically and literally, go-getter with a good heart, with Algie as his partner in crime, who looks up to him in many ways. Bertie in many ways is similar to Thomas, but I'd like to think Bertie is perhaps more layered. Being a bus and therefore being in even closer proximity to people, perhaps we could explore more deeper concepts than Thomas can, while still catering to the same general audience. To close out this video, I'll do a pseudo-synopsis of this series. Bertie the Bus is back for his biggest adventure yet. Bertie was long happy with his quiet life on Thomas's branch line, until one day, Mrs. Tires, his controller, informed him that he would be promoted and based out of Vickerstown City Bus Depot to train his old friend Algie on how to be a really useful bus. Far from his branch line and now deep in the heart of Sodor's most bustling city, Bertie, his best friend Algie, and a whole slew of road-bound friends now have to deal with chatty streetcars, silly school children, troublesome traffic, and so much more. Do you like my Bertie the Bus and Friends spin-off idea? What kind of characters do you think should belong in this show? What other conflicts would you like to see in this show? What kind of stories would you like to see done with the buses? What sort of ideas for a Thomas spinoff would you pitch, Bertie the Bus related or otherwise? Sound off in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.